In a fresh challenge for India's diplomatic relations with Nepal, the Parliament of Nepal has approved a change in the map, changing the boundary with Uttarakhand. Now, with the new map, which has also been endorsed by the upper house of the Nepal Parliament, three critical regions of Uttarakhand will fall into Nepal. The motion, which was passed by 258 out of 275 votes in the lower parliament, is just one step away from being a constitutional amendment. To talk more about the issue, I have with me Mr. Jaydeep Mazumdar. Hi, Jaydeep. Jaydeep, can you just walk us through this issue? What the entire change in map is all about? What is really happening?
Yeah, it is about Nepal claiming three areas: Kalapani, which is in the tri-junction of India, Nepal, and Chinese occupied Tibet, and Lipulek, which is a high mountain pass, which leads to, it falls on the traditional route used by pilgrims to Mansarovar, Kailash Mansarovar, and another adjoining area called Limpiadhura. Now, these three areas they make up for about 335 square kilometers. Nepal has been laying claim to this area for last few years or so. They say that these areas have always been under Nepal. To take you back a little bit, there's an 1816 Treaty of Sigoli, which was the treaty which ended the Anglo-Nepal War of 1814 to 1816. Under that treaty, all areas west of Kali River would be Nepal's. All area east of Kali River would be I'm so sorry. All areas west of Kali River would be British India's, and all areas east of Kali River would be Nepal's. Now, the dispute is over where Kali River is. India says that Kali River, from which Kalapani also gets its name because of the black springs there, Kali River originates in Kalapani, whereas Nepal says it originates at Limpiadhura, which is higher up, bordering Chinese occupied Tibet, right next to Lipulek. Now, what has happened is this has been ever since Prime Minister Gujral visited Nepal. They've managed to put this on the discussion agenda for discussion. It was not there earlier on. Gujral acceded to the Nepal request, and there have been talks on this off and on, but it hasn't taken any serious proportions till now. In November, when the Article 370 was abrogated and 35A, and then the whole state of Jammu and Kashmir was hived off into two union territories of Ladakh and Jammu and Kashmir, India obviously had to issue new maps, political maps, showing the two as union territories. Nepal suddenly said that, hey, you have included Kalapani and Lipulek and Limpiadhura in your map, whereas that was not the case. There had been no cartographic changes as far as India is concerned. And then, like in last month, beginning of last month, Defense Minister Rajnath Singh, he inaugurated a 75.5 kilometer road which leads to Lipulek. A walking track was converted into a road, and that the Defense Minister inaugurated. Nepal again started objecting. In November, there were protests and all, which died down. Suddenly, again, the protest started, and Nepal took it up very strongly with India. Why it took it up is a related story. Prime Minister Oli, who has been pro-China, who has actually allowed China a huge entry into Nepal, he was facing internal dissidents. He was facing a lot of problems within his party. He was facing public criticism over his mishandling of the COVID crisis of the pandemic, as well as a lot of other things. He's looked upon as someone who has been very weak, a very weak administrator who's bungled in a lot of things. So in order to, there was pressure mounting on him. At one time last month, it appeared that he would no longer be the prime minister, and because there were serious challenges to his chair from within the party. It took a lot of effort by the Chinese ambassador to Kathmandu to ultimately, save the chair for him. So Oli owes a debt of gratitude also to China. Now, suddenly Oli realized that in order to save his chair and to stave off public criticism, the best way to do it is to indulge in jingoism. And this is exactly what he did. He upped the ante and he indulged, he became the symbol of Nepal nationalism personified, and he took a hard anti-India stance. And he's now managed to, of course, save his chair, and become the symbol of Nepal nationalism. So he's strengthened his own position. But then again, this is something very short term. Once this issue dies out, I'm sure the internal politics of the ruling Nepal Communist Party will come into play. The protests, the public protests, which had died down again, they have in fact started happening again. It's gathering momentum. So it's only a matter of time before he faces the same problems that he has. The issue here is that how does India react to?
I was just coming to that because these are very unusual times because we've not been in those kind of a relationship with Nepal. We've had our problems with China, we've had our problems with Pakistan, even Bangladesh for that matter, when it comes to border disputes and everything. But Nepal is very uncharted territory in that sense. So, how should India really react? And also, one point you made about the Prime Minister's closeness to China. So, will that also be need to be factored in when India reacts to this kind of a move by Nepal Parliament?
Yes. See, it's very easy to fall for the provocation. It is indeed a grave, grave provocation, because Nepal, by amending, when it will ultimately amend the country's emblem, which includes the map, and will include areas which are in India into its map, it will put itself in the same league as Pakistan and China. Which have also include Indian territories in their maps, like Jammu and Kashmir and Arunachal Pradesh, respectively. But should we start treating Nepal with exactly the same sort of, or giving Nepal the same sort of treatment as Pakistan and China? Absolutely not. There are very many reasons for that. The prime reason being that if we do that, if we take punitive measures against Nepal, there are punitive measures which can be taken, though that will hurt both the countries. Definitely. I'll come to that. But if we do take punitive measures, if we harden our stance now, we will be playing into China's hands. There's nothing China would like more than India to adopt a very hard position, which will fuel more anti-Indian sentiments in Nepal, and anti-Indian sentiments will obviously translate into pro-China sentiments. India should not leave the field open to China. The China will fill in the vacuum. That if India recedes from Nepal, if India gives that space to China, China will definitely occupy it. We should not do that. Number one. The second reason why we should not do is that, unlike say Pakistan or Bangladesh or any other country for that matter, we have deep, and when I say deep, it's deep civilizational, religious, and cultural ties, as well as a huge number of people, the Madhesis, have filial ties with people across the border in India. The people of Nepal, Hindus and Buddhists alike, they revere our Shankaracharyas. And the Pashupatinath temple, the foremost shrine in Nepal, mandir in Nepal, that is closely connected with the Gorakhnath Dham in Gorakhpur. And these ties are there. There are Buddha was born in Nepal, and but he attained nirvana in India. He attained enlightenment in India. So all these all these factors need to be considered before we take any step. And I think the right thing for us to do now, for India to do now, would be to just keep silent, let things play out on their own, and adopt a I will desist from saying, very many people say, be like your big brother. No, what I would say is, this is exactly where the problem lies. India has always is accused of by lots of Nepalis as being the big brother. Let us be the brother, not the big brother. And like in a family, one brother is angry. There's a sense of hurt. At times, that sense of hurt is genuine. There are genuine reasons for that sense of hurt, which dates back to quite a long, many decades ago, and that has piled up. And so let us now. What happens in a family is one brother keeps silent, let the other, let the anger out, and then things then get back to wait for things to get back to normal. How Oli is to be handled is, I would again say that it is easy to fall for the temptation of trying to replace Oli or ease his departure from power. This is what India should not do. India has a history of trying to interfere, let's put it that way, in or trying to interfere in Nepal's internal affairs, starting from Rajiv Gandhi's time, when he started sheltering and harboring pro-democracy movement leaders, especially the Maoists in India. And now, ironically, Maoists are now the biggest anti-Indian forces in Nepal. So we should not. We should actually step back and allow things to play out, and then keep up the back channel talks at the diplomatic and political level, and let things play out. Deal with it with equanimity.
Well, thank you so much for those wonderful insights, Jerry. Thank you so much.
Thank you.